Hello everyone. Today we're gonna talk in the conference number 13 about the laws of karma and dharma. What's karma? What's dharma? And how can we negotiate our karma and obtain more dharma for us to do a spiritual work? These are the subjects that we are gonna talk about in this conference. The law of karma and dharma are laws that are charged by the objective justice, and is also known, the law of karma is also known by the following names. It's also known by the name of recurrence, which means that everything occurs again with the consequences that it had in another existence. The law of talion, that is also known by the law of the Oriental countries, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. It's also known by the name of the law of cause and effect. There is a corresponding effect for each cause. The law of equality, what is given is received. These are the different names which the law of karma has. And as you can see, there's nothing that happens by the force of what we call the causality. Nothing is casual. We are going to use the word causality. Causality means that everything happens for a reason, that everything that happens has its trigger in our past lives. When we reflect about the things we have done in this existence and in the past existence we have lived, we understand that there are certain things that we have done and we now need to pay for those things. For example, if in the past existence I was a thief and I took something that was not mine, in this existence I need to pay for that. So that is why so many people complain that they have debts to pay, that the economy is not the best thing, but it's because the economical part in the past life had something to do with it. Okay, so we're gonna keep talking about that. We're gonna know when we study the karma that every psychological defect we have in our psyche is responsible for certain debts that we have. For example, if I fed so much the ego of greed, and in the past existences or even in this existence I'm attached to the money and the material things, I'm gonna have to pay for the egoic things that I did with the psychological flaw of greed. For example, if I took things that were not mine, if I retained money, having the chance to share with others. So that's a psychological flaw that's gonna make you pay for what we did and we caused in our life and in other people's lives. The law of karma is the fundamental of this school of learning that is life. There's nothing that is not returned to us, and we obtain what we give to others. Understanding and learning and reflecting about that will make us understand that we need to be responsible for our actions and we need to eliminate the force of ego that is making us distract ourselves and other people around us. So, karma is what we owe, what we have to pay for when we let a psychological flaw take over of our human machine, of our psychology, or of also of our thoughts and emotions. But there is nothing that cannot be paid. That is why we are going to talk about the negotiation of those karmas that we have. There is also a limit of time in which we need to pay our debts, and it doesn't pass any debt without being paid. We're gonna talk about the urgence to pay the karma, because if we need to awaken the 100% of our conscience, we cannot let anything without being paid. We owe the karma of the last 7 existences, and we need to pay it in a single existence if we want to work in the process of awakening the 100% of conscience and making the self-realization of our being. Now let's talk about dharma. What's dharma? Dharma is the cosmic money that we receive for when we let the conscience act through our thoughts, words, acts, and omissions, that for everything that we do, thinking about our justice, wisdom, and love, the 3% of our conscience is acting and perfecting everything that we do. It's receiving a small jar in the court of karma, where the beings that we help us immediately is something that is reflecting what we give, we receive. For example, if we are teaching these conferences, um, when we teach people, we are learning about people, and we also receive something from the beings that we are helping, some extra help for our spiritual work. That's what's called dharma. We can store dharma from many existences, unlike karma, but we don't know how to use it consciously because the lack of awareness. Now let's talk about the court of karma. What's the court of karma? The court of karma is the objective justice, and it's formed by the multiple places in which the divine law is processed. As you can see in the image, there is the master of the divine law, that is the master Anubis, and the 42 judges, which are in charge of the objective justice. And it's also good to mention that for each level of conscience we have a different court of karma. The master Anubis is in charge of the objective justice. In the court of karma, we have 48 laws, the laws of the physical world, that are represented in each of the cells of the human body, and the 48 chromosomes of our physical human machine. Each one of the centers of the human machine has a different court karma. In the sex center, we find the great court. Each one of our egos is going to be processed there, is going to be judged and eliminated, and we need to pay the karma that each one of our ego owes. So the release of our conscience, which is trapped in each one of our psychological flaws, is going to be done there in this objective justice place that we call the court of karma. And also, when you do the different practices that we are going to learn to negotiate and to pay karma, to give answer to these masters of the divine law, we need to know through the astral projection how to go to this place, how to talk to the master Anubis, how to release each one of our sparks that is trapped in our psychological flaws. For example, through the meditation you're studying the ego of lust, and you're understanding and knowing the conscience that was trapped in that psychological flaw, how you were flirting with each one of the persons that approach you, how you were adultering, not respecting your couple, how each one of the actions that you did to betray that percentage of justice, wisdom, and love. And through meditation, you're understanding each one of those details. Now, in the court of karma, you need to give answer to the master and novice for each one of the times that you let that ego of lust being manifested through your physical body, when you had different fornications, different flirtings, different adulteries. Those things you need to give answer to the master and novice about the egoic things that you did. How did you fit those psychological flaws, and how can you negotiate that the karma that those psychological flaws have to be eliminated and to be transformed in the virtues, strengths, and powers of your human soul that you're gonna be creating through your spiritual work of awakening your conscience and creating your existential bodies. So, we're gonna talk about what produces karma. It's simple. Our actions, when we let each one of our egos, envy, lust, greed, gluttony, and all the 7 causal egos and their details, when we let them manifest through our physical body, when we let our body be like a puppet, like a human machine that is taken by the forces of anger, the forces of destruction, that is when we produce karma, the most heavy part of the karma. Also, our words can be as heavy as our actions. With a word, we can distract people. With our words, we can the reputation of someone, we can destroy it. We can damage our personal relationships with words that are filled with anger, are filled with the force of injustice, hate, and also our omissions. Our omissions produce as much karma as our actions and words, because not doing something when we needed to do it, for instance, helping someone when we needed to do it, being indifferent to the suffering of someone, in case that there is the chance to help it, produces a lot of karma. Of course, those things have to be analyzed in meditation. In meditation, you're going to learn when is conscious that you do something, that you talk about something, and when is conscious when you're helping someone. Because you have, right now, in our egoic nature, we think that helping someone is giving money to someone, is giving food to someone, but that's not the last solution. It can be a way to help, but if I give someone food, that person can eat for a while and will be satisfied, but at the next moment he's going to feel the same need for food, and I cannot feed a person my entire life. So you need to analyze when helping someone is conscious or is a psychological flaw, and each one of our actions, of our words and omissions, are going to be understood through the process of meditation. So we're gonna talk now about the kinds of karma that they exist. As you can see in the drawing, it's the law of cause and effect. So there are many things about karma that we don't understand, because we don't understand that we come from the 108 existences that we have. Maybe we're in the 100 existence and the 105. Most of us in this time of the is in this historical time, because this in this moment the planet is in the last breath, we can say, because of the process of the human degeneration. So we cannot understand the force of karma, because it comes from many existences. We have evolved and come back in the wheel of samsara many times. So we have a huge karma. We also have dharma, but we have karma. And it's something that we need to understand through the process of retrospection, through the process of meditation, because we are gonna need to remember by the practice of intimate reflection, each time that we let a psychological flaw manifest through our human machine. We are going to study each psychological flaw, and we are going to discover the roots of the tree of the ego. So by the time that we analyze from where does our lust comes, and we remember each time that we acted in a lustful way, that we flirt, that we committed any adultery, that we watched pornography, and all those things that come from lust, we are going to understand what's karma, because we cannot know the effect if we don't know the root of that effect or the cause. So there are different kinds of karma. There's the individual karma. That's the karma that each particular being has for the things that they have fed. Each one of us has fed different effects with a different molecular weight. So, for example, there is someone that has a bigger ego of anger, and for example, someone has a bigger ego of lust. So they have different types of karma. Family karma, it's the karma that comes from different individuals that are linked in a family. So they all have connected psychological flaws that that force them to pay to each other this family karma. Collective karma is karma that comes to a group of people that are related to each other because they had an accident together, or had an attack that damaged them. A regional karma, that is a karma of a geographic place, for example, a drought or a flood. National karma, the karma of an entire nation, that could be a process of dictatorship, a process of civil war. A continental karma, that is a karma of an entire continent, for example, starvation, misery, poverty. The world karma, that is the a human kind of karma, for example, a world war, an epidemic. The planetary karma, that is the karma which is produced to nature, crimes against nature, cause environmental disequilibrium, for example, the collision of a comet can be a planetary karma. Now let's talk about other types of karma related to the sexual things that we did in the past. For example, the karma saya is the karma of astral ties. That means the number of coitus that we had with different people. We have what we call astral ties, which means that in the last existences we had sex with someone, and that sexual connection has to be repeated because we owe the karma to that person by the law of recurrence. So when you're working in a spiritual work, that can be a problem, because if you have a stable partner but you all owe karma to a person because you had sex with him or with her in the last existence, so that is gonna be a problem. You have to pay karma to that person with which you have a sexual tie or an astral tie. And if you can pay karma to that person, you're gonna keep your stable partner. But if you're not able to negotiate it, you can lose your stable partner, and you can lose the chance to self-realize yourself. That is something serious. So karma yoga is what I've been talking you about. That is the loss of the sexual partner because of the karma saya, because of that astral tie that you had that you couldn't negotiate. Karma duro is the crimes against the Holy Spirit. Can be translated as hard karma. And karma katansya is the crime that gods commit. Well, they can commit crimes on purpose because they have certain purpose to teach something to mankind. There are different ways to pay karma. All karma can be negotiated. It wouldn't help to know that you have karma for the different psychological flaws that you have in your psyche if you didn't know how to pay it. There are different ways. By helping others with cosmic money or dharma, that is the money we can gather by helping someone awaken their conscience. You can teach people how to discover that they have a spirit, that they have the power of the conscience, that is the 3% of justice, wisdom, and love, to escape the mechanic of their reality in which they're trapped. For example, people don't know how to get away from the depression, from the loss of sense that we have in our existence right now. We think we live only for the personality, the physical appearances, the money, the titles that we have, and people often lose sense because of that, because we don't have a transcendental connection with our being. But if you can help someone to give this objective knowledge with which they can work on themselves, you can earn that cosmic money which you receive because of the conscious deed you do to transmit this powerful knowledge, and that's dharma. That's what we call dharma. You can invite someone to a conference, you can talk about it, you can reflect or do a meditation with someone, and when you teach someone how to awaken their conscience, you learn something about them, because every being has the power of transmitting something with the 3% of conscience. For instance, each time that I'm giving conferences about these subjects, in the astral projection, I see sometimes teachings of the beings that are there in the conferences, I see them improving, eliminating their psychological flaws, transforming their lives, and that's something that has no price. Uh, there's also a way of paying karma that is with negotiable pain. We have a way to negotiate our pain, that is diseases, uh, sickness of the physical body, and we could negotiate that in order to avoid our pain, psychological pain or physical pain, but we don't know the way to negotiate it. We are going to teach in this conference today how to negotiate that pain that we had to suffer because the action of our psychological flaws. With not negotiable pain, we also have certain kinds of pain that we cannot negotiate. Those are the attempts to the spiritual part of us, or the crimes against nature, crimes against our Holy Spirit. For example, when we fornicated, when we wasted our sexual energy, those are crimes against the Holy Spirit, because our being is in those sexual cells, in this sexual energy that we have. So when we wasted, we are expelling our being from our physical body. So we need to pay that with not negotiable pain. Those are diseases of the physical body that are gonna make us suffer, and that is the karma duro that we've been talking in the last uh, image. We can also negotiate to pay karma with charity, helping others, um, like giving people things they need immediately. For example, when they are hungry, they need something to eat, they need something in the physical world that we don't need that, and we can help them. Um, that's a way to help people. But also we need to reflect when we are doing that, because a psychological flaw like the personality that that we want to appear like good people and give something to someone, that is a psychological flaw. But if we do it from our heart, just without expecting people to recognize us for being good, and uh, for doing that. So that's doing it from our heart. If we do it from our heart, is the conscience acting. But also is a limit. There is a limit to charity, because um, in the material world we are going to always suffer from our needs, our physical needs. But if we awaken our spiritual force, we are not going to suffer from the need of a physical thing. For example, food. If we awaken the power of our spiritual force and realize um, that money is not the most important thing, and that without it we can be happy, we're going to be awakening a spiritual force that is much greater than the material, and our being is going to provide for us. So there's a certain thing that we have to reflect about charity. And also we have a way to pay, that is with the objective negotiations with the law. There is a practice in which you can compromise yourself to do certain spiritual things, to improve your being, and with those negotiations you can pay for your karma, compromising yourself to do spiritual works in another level. For example, if I commit myself to give this knowledge to an entire country, I'm gonna pay for great part of my karma, and I'm going to transcend. For example, if I have a heavy karma, for example, a disease or something like I need to pay with great deal of sacrifice, I can negotiate it with the objective negotiations with the law. So those are the ways that in which we can transcend karma, and in which we can pay for the debt that every psychological defect generated in that line of my destiny. I can transform, and I can modify the line of my destiny just paying for my karma, because I'm going to escape the mechanical law of suffering and pain. I'm going to understand what is the root of my suffering and eliminate it from my psyche. That is something different. If I repeat the same mistakes over and over again, well, I'm not reflecting and I'm not modifying my existence. But if I, in meditation, reflected on each thing that my lust did in my life, and I want to escape from that mechanical law of, for example, the force of lust, I'm gonna have to pay for the karma that I did with that psychological flaw. And that way, I can transcend that and eliminate that from the line of my destiny. So we're going to teach a practice that is really helpful to negotiate karma, which is the practice of transfer of funds. This practice is, well, is the best thing to do every day. Every day you need to do it, because every day you're letting your ego act in your psyche. You're generating new depths, and besides, you also have depths from your past existences. So it's really helpful and really useful to have the objective justice by your side, and each time generating more dharma for paying for your karma and avoiding difficult situations or understanding before they happen to you. For example, you can do the practice of transfer of funds for a psychological flaw that you saw in the astral projection, that you're gonna have to deal with a situation of anger, that you have a recurrence of fighting with someone, and you saw that in an astral projection. So you need to do a practice of transfer of funds. Oh, I don't want to that fight to take me without being noticed. I want to have the dharma available to pay for that, and so that doesn't hit me so hard. So I'm gonna do the practice of transfer of funds, and it's recommendable to do it every night, so you have the objective justice by your side, and you can avoid any difficult situation that happens to you. Also, it's obviously that this practice has to be in a company of the practice of meditation, because if you're meditating your psychological flaws, you're understanding from what is the cause of your karma and eliminating that mistakes that your psyche wants to repeat. So the practice goes this way. You ask your divine father to help you and to be him, the one who transfers the funds from the bank of dharma to the bank of karma. You stand, as you can see in the image, with your feet together, your arms lifted, and the trunk forming a cross with your hands, the palms facing up, as you can see in the image, and your right arm is going to raise 45 degrees, and your left arm is going to go down 45 degrees simultaneously. I'm going to show you with the image. like this. Then you go like, oh sorry, you go like this, and then you go like this. That you're going to do it as you pronounce the mantra ni, focus in the middle of your eyebrows, and you're gonna come back, oh sorry, you're going to come back like this, and your left arm rises 45 degrees and the right arms lower 45 degrees. Through this process, while you pronounce the mantra ni, ne, no, nu, na. And with the mantra ni, you're going to be focusing in the middle of your eyebrows. With the mantra ne, you're going to focus in your motor center, that is in your larynx. With the mantra no, you're going to focus in your lower intellectual center, that is in your heart. With the mantra nu, you're going to be focusing in your lower emotional center at the height of your navel. And with the mantra na, in your instinctive center, in your pelvis. And the process goes like this. I'm gonna show it to you from the start. Ni, oh sorry, ni, ne, no, oh, sorry, na. Well, the purpose is imagining that here you have the bank of dharma, and here you have the bank of karma, and you're moving your funds from here to here as you move your hands from one side to another. And you can imagine dharma as a bright light, a bright golden light that is moving from one side to the other to the bank of karma to pay your debts. Or you can imagine it like money, or like the way that is helpful for you. So you're going to repeat this process, ni, ne, no, nu, na, in every center of your human machine, moving your arms as I showed you, and you're gonna do it 9 times. Finally, your arms must finish at the initial horizontal position, and as at the final moment in which you cross your hands, your right arm over the left arm, you're gonna chant the mantra torn, lengthen each letter. That is to seal the deal of the transfer of funds. Now we're gonna talk about the negotiation with the law. The practice of the negotiation with the law, as I said to you, is for compromising, taking things to the next level. For example, you see that you have karma on your back. Well, it's not supposed to be until that point that you have karma on your back, but you should do it every day so you can compromise to new things and raise another note. For example, vibrate in a higher frequency, have more strength for your spiritual work. That is the negotiation with the law, compromising to take things to the next level. For example, compromising for meditating more time, sacrificing for mankind more time, doing a practice of sexual transmutation that is more concentrated, that is better, that is that you're working with chastity even more and raising up your level of your spiritual work, that is compromising. And you do that not only for paying for your karma, but because you want to improve, you want to awaken a greater percentage of conscience. You want to take things to a new level. So you do this practice, lying with uh, your body on a surface. You can be lying in your bed, lying on the floor with your face up and your arms open, forming a cross, and your feet together. In this position, you ask your Father like this: Father of mine, Lord of mine, God of mine, I beg you, if it's your will, go to the heart temple of divine justice. Once there, negotiate with Anubis and his 42 judges to, and then you propose the negotiation, for example, to have more strength in the meditation, to be able to meditate for 5 hours, uh, or you can also do the negotiation in a more general way, saying, for example, to receive strength to work in the mystical birth, the psychological death, and the sacrifice for humanity, or any negotiation that you want to propose. That is to help yourself in the spiritual work, to help yourself awaken a greater percentage of conscience and be more awake in your daily life. So we're gonna go, up and down in this way, like uh, like you can see in the image, 6 times, and in each time you're going to repeat the prayer or the sentence. So, well, it's a how do you say, a sentence in which you're communicating with the court of karma and negotiating your karma, your debts. So you repeat it as you go up: Father of mine, Lord of mine, God of mine, I beg you, if it's your will, go to the heart temple of the divine justice. Once there, negotiate with Anubis and his 42 judges to, for example, have more concentration in the practice of meditation, to be able to meditate for 5 hours, and or whatever you need to improve in, and you do it 6 times simultaneously, one up, one down, one up, one down. And when you finish in the 6th time here, you cross your arms, your right hand over your left hand, and you pronounce the mantra to seal the deal of the negotiation with the law. Well, at last, you need to thank your inner father and ask him to show you how is the outcome of this negotiation in the astral projection. And he can show you that you don't have enough dharma to pay for that karma, that you need to do a greater sacrifice in order to pay for that. Or he can show you that the deal is sealed and you can pay for that karma that you owe. So, well, you can propose different types of commitments to pay for your karma, and anyway, you must comply. These two practices must be done every day, as I told you, so you can have more level of commitment or responsibility with your spiritual work and have more strength for the psychological death, which is the elimination of your ego, your 7 causal egos, and the 3 factors of the revolutions of the conscience that you already know. That is the sexual transmutation, or working with the kundalini or the sacred fire that is going to enlighten your conscience and condense the energy in your spinal cord, making the existential bodies of your being, which allow you to have the representation in the different dimensions of nature, and the sacrifice for mankind that is transmitting this knowledge without expecting anything in return to mankind, so they can initiate a spiritual work as you are doing it too. So these practices are going to help you have the force to pay for your karma and advance awakening your conscience and have the power to transform the line of your destiny, avoiding any recurrence, avoiding the force of ego to take the stability from your psychic work. So if you have any questions or you want to add something or interact, uh, you're willing to do it. I'm available to hear you, anything that you want to say.